All right, so it's on. Uh, Day three of my little. What am I doing here anyway? Uh, this is day three of. Uh, it's when you're trying to stitch something together. You're making a quilt, right? So I'm stitching together these ideas uh, about workers' rights and workers and employment and human welfare. So it's the human quilt. Okay, it's day three of the human quilt. All right. Oh, excuse me. You know what? I was I was doing really well this morning. I opted for coffee. I know I opted for tea, not coffee. And then after the first cup of tea, I opted for coffee, not tea. And then not so good. But but it's all good. Um, so yeah, today, what I was thinking about talking about is just where our points of view come from, because we all have one. And there's certainly, I would have to say that my choice to go into the performing arts as a young person definitely shaped a lot of my opinions about what I saw and observed out there in the workforce, because it was, because I guess I got a heavy dose of reality. I can remember, my this was, God, I was just like, I completed my first year of junior college in Massachusetts, and you know, a young woman that I had befriended, through a class that I had taken outside of school, was from New York City, of all places, and I don't know how it happened exactly, but oh yeah, yeah. So I told her that I was interested in doing something in the theater, and that I would really like to check out New York, and she talked with her parents. She wasn't coming home for the summer. I don't know where she was going, and I didn't know what New York City was. For those of us that haven't been there, we always think it's like 42nd Street and Times Square. Well, in this case, New York City was like somewhere out in like the throes of Queens, like a 45-minute train ride into the city every day. And, long story short, I showed up there in the middle of summer, and, was like living in this Jewish woman's um, very manicured, Queens apartments that had all these ornate items and whatnot inside the place. Everything. It's like if she could have put a plastic bag on every piece of furniture in the place, I'm sure that she would have. But anyway, I was not there for the lodging, and I, had seen a play, an off Broadway play, very early on, and I don't even know what got me there, but I was just under a spell. It just seemed so magical to me, and I remember talking to a woman in the cast after the show was over, and asking her how she did it and how she got in the part and blah blah blah. And anyway, I wanted in, so I showed back up at this theater a couple days later and told them that I was interested in finding a job, looking for work, and very quickly they told me they could put me to use, free of charge, of course. And I think a day later, I was my first job in the theater was basically cleaning out a dumpster. At first, it was loading a dumpster. It was like throwing out all this useless furniture that was like warehoused in the catacombs of this theater into a dumpster, and then like the day later, I think we had to clean out the dumpster. So I mean, I think that a sensible person probably wouldn't have showed up for day 3, but sensibility or good senses, logic has never been my strong suit. So we'll just keep it at that. But I remember, my buddy there, who was, he was my boss, kind of was a bit of a mentor for me. I remember him saying after the first day, and this is like at 6 o'clock after, and the sun is just blazing still. It's like 90 degrees, and, I'm just like nothing but sweat. I'm sweated through everything. And he said, well, welcome to show business. And, then he trotted off down the street to go to happy hour, and like everybody just dispersed. And there I was, like in the middle of Avenue A and 10th Street, just like kind of dumbfounded, standing on the sidewalk. And, anyway, like it wasn't, that's where I discovered that most people in the arts, are, they don't celebrate their days in Technicolor, unfortunately. All right, so, but anyway, like the point of that story is that, what I saw there that summer in the theaters, I saw a lot of like very colorful, resourceful characters that I got to meet. I worked on the traveling. Each summer, like they would stage a traveling show, traveling theater that went to the outer boroughs, and they would do these community performances in the park. And it was I was like a stagehand in the production, so I got to build the stage, and I helped set things up, and we even went around it, to let people know in the neighborhood that there was going to be a performance there that afternoon. Carnival barker, the guy that sold the peanuts and the popcorn, the whole thing. As a result of that, like I get a chance to get a bird's eye view of the difficulties of these many very talented people that I saw and interacted with every day. And it was my kind of first. It was my first snapshot into how difficult a life in the arts could be, but also a snapshot into the difficulties of the adult world, or the world that we don't pay so much attention to. For people that wait tables, people that may have been doormen, or security officers, or plumbers, or whatever it may be, to make a life while they try to pursue their art. And that stuck with me. I think that had a profound effect on me. And later, damn it, I let the time get away. Later in my own life, I had some firsthand experiences that were probably so raw that I think that they kind of changed the trajectory of my own life eventually. But I guess what I'm saying is that those people that are out there working for a living, they are the vast majority of America. And when those people, stop believing in the promise, which I would say the vast majority of people have, and the promise being that, if you do the right thing, if you work for a better life, and you pay your taxes, you show up to school every day, you show up for work every day, you work hard, you look for promotions, you're attempt to better yourself through education, that a better life is entitled to you. I think that when that compact has been out there, And then we see that, we have these gargantuan tax cuts which are given to our wealthiest citizens. I mean, like the vast majority of people that receive a tax cut were making over $700,000 a year. Those clowns don't need tax cuts, you know. But or since this thing, this was going to be like this tax cut again was going to be a huge stimulus, for the entire economy. It was going to just boost wages across the board. You know how much wages have gone up since this stupid thing went into effect? 0.3% for the average worker. I was thinking about, just wages in general. I mean, we had there was more buying power for the average worker in 1968 than there was in the year 2016. These things don't make sense and they're not sustainable, and that's the people's business. That's what we should all make our first priority, because in order for us to really care about anything else, we have to care about being able to we have to care about each other, but we have to, in that spirit, we have to go out and demand more. All right, so that's my lesson for today. I talked way too long. Sorry about the monologue, but hey, this is not scripted. Okay, love y'all.